Hello, and welcome to another chapter of a tome pulled right off the shelves at the heart of the Jakuls. As always, I'm your stalwart host, Lothran, and there's ever so much more data to relay. So let's get to it, shall we? Go grab a filling meal, settle into a cozy spot, and pay accurate attention to Fleet Part 24, Tutelage. Those are sticks and rocks. Yeah, I blimming know that. I could see that they're sticks and rocks. Cam vented in an agitated manner to the only speaking Zer in the entire town. What the shit do you want me to do with them? You're the tool maker. The Zer gestured for Cam to figure it out on his own. You're a super advanced race of beings. Why do you want me to make stone tools? Cam asked, more than a little perplexed at this turn of events. We have made mistakes in the past. Sometimes we took too long. Other times we rushed. I am the speaker. This is my job. This is my way. The Zer insisted Cam gather the resources and begin with a very firm gesture toward him. I'm starting to think you hate your job, being the speaker, Cam replied. The Zer nodded and smiled, but remained silent. His wife, and that's who she was, by the way, never spoke at all. She made noises, the greatest energetic moans, little wordless cries, little tiny gasps, frustrated near unheard lip smacks his way when she was agitated with him, and she grit her teeth 1,000 different ways, and smelled Cam every last chance she got. But speaking wasn't ever going to be something either of them did with each other. In a way, that made her the perfect woman, at least to Cam. Beautiful, willing, subservient, and silent, he smiled to himself. Enough daydreaming of your wife, the Zer demanded forcefully and calmly. Make, he insisted yet again, sitting down to stare at Cam for what would undoubtedly be another impossibly long day among many previous such as this. Cam reached out to grab a stone to begin shaping it into an axe head. Ow! Blast! What the fuck? Cam soothed the fresh scrape across the back of his right hand. The Zer stared at him, wiping a small trickle of blood off of one sharpened claw-like fingernail. Make, the speaker ordered of him. Another trick to it. Always a trick to it with the Zers. It's never easy, never simple, never, well, at least, anywhere outside of a bedroom. Make! The Zer shouted in his direction. Cam angrily began to reach out again, then stopped himself. No. The Zer waved his hand to reveal the campsite, waved his hand to reveal this building, waved his hands to reveal these resources. What if there was more to it than just an image? Cam had built that structure he'd slept in during the first night, touched every piece of it. What if there was more than just a trick? Cam picked up one of the stones, not the best one. But he didn't do it with his hands, he did it with his mind. And not the one he'd reached for before, the one furthest from him, the one closest to the Zer. And then Cam looked down into the space between his sprawled legs, waving his hand back and forth, pretending that one of these times, as he swept his palm along, the passage would reveal the stone underneath. Tabor's hateful grin! Fuck me, what? Cam calmed down as he leapt away from the incredible sight before him. How? Cam looked to the smiling Zir. What? I didn't expect it to work! No one does. Not the first time. How? Not yet, the Zir replied. Make. He gestured, and from his motion, a small section of stream appeared in the middle of the room. A loud babbling brook, a large mossy and damp stone in the center of the flowing water that came from nowhere and left this place in the same fashion. Cam stepped out into the water, half expecting not to feel the frigid liquid soaking through his clothes, as he gazed all about himself in a stupor of purest awe. Make! The speaker insisted of him. Cam went back for the stone he had summoned, seemingly from nothing. Dipping it into the water, looking back he saw its clone still next to the Zir. He dug his hand into the cold, ancient sand, slapping it onto the scratched, well-used surface of the large boulder, beginning to shape the rock into a stone axe head. And the day was filled with such brutal toil, enough that when he was done, Cam silently jogged through the city streets, not even looking at any of the Zir around him he'd once found so fascinating. He burst through the entrance to his home, the warm, succulent smell of the only meal he was allowed to, each and every day, eat, while he was here washing over his quaking senses, his wife smiling up at him. Whisper, he called out to her. She scowled at his pet name for her. Cam closed the distance between them as she gripped a fork sternly, leveling it toward him in one delicate hand. He pushed her into a chair, wrenching the silverware from her grasp, and smacking her across the face. She looked up, and then instantly back down. It had still been enough time for Cam to see the pleasure, the contentment, in those gorgeous eyes. She liked it. Zir couldn't love. That wasn't them. Cam had learned that. They always said that when concept was completely foreign to them, that it wasn't them, wasn't a part of them. But they liked things, preferred things to work certain ways. Whisper adored when Cam treated her this way. From what he'd observed, all of the Zir women were this way. The Zir killed all aberrant children. Cam had difficulty with it. But the speaker had explained it very casually. He'd said, homosexuals, non-submissive girls, submissive boys, transgendered, non-useful mutations, chronically depressed, mentally ill, mentally handicapped. All of the Zir currently alive agreed. All of them lived for the strength and purity of the Zir. It was their way. Whisper had given up her Zir body for a very few and succinct set of reasons. She had been Zir before. Her mind was still Zir. She would never waver in her choices. Cam took one of her hands, kissing it, and then leaning in to kiss her cheek. She lit up, shining with impractical, radiant beams of joy from what he'd been able to piece together. Birthing was the most serious business around these parts, so likely Whisper either wasn't able to, or she too often produced aberrant children, so those in charge ordered that she not do it anymore. Cam had already asked her many times of her choice. His confirmations came not in the words that she would never speak, but in the ways the questions made her halt and hesitate, to stop and wish that the words would die where they had been spoken. He'd seen her ignore his words for half of a day, but the right set of words, in the right order, they always stopped her cold. She set the table and waited beside it. Cam sat and then gestured for her to sit as well. Whisper smiled at him, waiting for her husband to eat first, and to give her the okay to eat as well. He tested this a few different times before. She would sit there all night and just wait if he didn't provide a signal, and he waved her on, reaching over like he'd witnessed a few other Zir men do. She grabbed his open hand, squeezing to bring it to her lips, bowing her head to him before she began to eat from her bowl. She was much happier this time. Cam could tell. He'd followed the rules better. It put her more at ease. He didn't like the Zir, but Whisper, she was beginning to grow on him. He'd miss her if she were ever gone. Whisper reached out in a soothing manner, easily aware of Cam's wandering thoughts, making sure he had calmed down and began to eat again before she returned to it. Cam felt pleased by her action, comforted by her response, warmed by the instinctual, natural flow of Zir life. And so it is. Our time together has once more come to a close. I hope each and every one of you enjoyed the tale as much as I have the telling of it. As always, I've been your informed host, Lothran, and this was Fleet Part 24, Tutelage, another tale right from the heart of the Jakuls. And now, we must once again part ways. Korvoth, guide them back along the proper path, back to the safety they know all too well.
Yes, sir, Lothran. Oh my, if Lothran said this one was questionable for me to listen to, I don't want to listen to yesterday's story at all. The Zir are crazy. Ugh. And now I know why the Vu don't like them at all. They're all jerks. I got a job to do. A pleasant greeting and a fond farewell to each and all. Please leave all your comments, questions, and kindnesses down below. Don't you let me catch a single one of you leaving any of that mean, rude, or terrible stuff, though. You keep all that baloney to yourselves. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to help us learn, spread, and grow. Don't forget that we strongly encourage each and every one of you to stay safe out there. See you again tomorrow for Fleet Part 25. Oh, this might be a 2-week arc from the feel of it. Okay, good night and good luck, everyone. You'll need it.